Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, the show needs an intro. This is that intro. Fisher in the foreground, Sam in the back. I got my tee shot a little earlier, right in the lower part of my back. Chris, we'll have to work on my my on the fly lyrics, my on the fly rhyming.
Is there not a camera on Chris today?
No, there's no camera.
Okay.
So, well, I tell you what. Yeah, you know what I'll do? I'm going to turn. If you could go ahead and frame him or whatever. That's
frame me.
I don't know. I'm in video. Yeah, I'm in video for what 5 months, and all of a sudden I'm trying to use terminology that and I'm pretty sure that I'm using the wrong term. Okay, there you go. You might have to use that if that's good. Actually, that's good there. Let me just yeah, we'll have to put a light on him. Go ahead and take your pin light and go put it on him if you don't mind.
Give me the light.
And then once that light is on him, go back to this camera, and on the far left-hand side of this black magic, there's a focus button. Just hold that for like a second or two, and then that should take care of the rest.
Just give me the light.
All right, and put that and make sure that light is right in his face too. Thank you. All right, let me see. There we go. There we go.
Nice.
All right, now stick that light right in your face, Chris. There we go. That's here. We lean into the light. There we go.
Now I'm all chilling.
All right, now here's Chris's intro to this show today.
You got to sing to it.
Oh, you want me to sing?
Yeah.
No, I thought you were about to replay what we
No,
just
you
did.
got to
No.
sing. You should give them a beat.
No.
So that he can do it
Okay.
again.
No, I was just putting you on the spot. I was just putting
No,
you
you got to do your intro again, but you actually have a musical track this time instead of me snapping.
All right, and then after I do the fish in the foreground, the Sam in the back, then you pick up and make up some lyrics as we go. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Here we go.
With it.
Start snapping there, Sam.
Okay.
You there we go.
Ooh. Oh.
Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. Fisher in the foreground, Sam in the back. Stuff you should know, and Chris McCarty on his guitar. Welcome to the Wake.Show.
Intro.
This is that intro.
Everybody wants to know what's up. So we've got all the news and the stuff. Sometimes you'll see dogs, might see cats, you never see birds and you never see rats at the Wake.Show, you know. So welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, the show needs an intro. This is that intro, so welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, the show needs an intro. This is that intro.
All right. Well
That was awesome.
Well done. Well done. Just a little put you on the spot and see what happens there. And it's perfect. It's gold. All right. Now we need to mark that. And that's the intro. I'm not going to sing it anymore. That's it. I'm done singing it.
Well, you wrote it.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wake.Show. I'm Chris Fisher along with Sam Miller and Chris McCarty. Day 2. One of the things we're trying to pull off this week, we're going to see. Oh, wait. You weren't here on Monday. Darn. We're going to see if we're going to do 4 days in a row, though, right?
Yeah.
All right. So today, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling really good, man. Yeah.
All right. Good.
How are you feeling?
I'm doing all right. I got my tee shot.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my every 2 weeks I go in and I stop by the doctor and I get a tee shot. So this was, I don't know, I've been doing this for about 2 months now. Now, a couple things. But I mean by T is testosterone. I don't know if you guys know anything about this stuff, but I guess the averages are supposed to be somewhere around like 300 and 1100, or somewhere around in there is where you're supposed to be. Now, as a 45-year-old man, I should not be up in the 1100 range, but I'm at 200, so I'm way low on the spectrum, and my pectoral muscles turned into mammaries along the way, so little things like that, and yeah. So anyway, so I started doing that, and I wanted to make sure that I got in there this morning because we got a long day today. I got to go until about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, all right, I'm 2 weeks from my last shot. I can't put it off because I was supposed to get it yesterday. I'm boring you now. So I'm boring you with all the details.
So how you feeling though? You feeling good though?
I'm feeling good. But I'm feeling good because you're in here today, because Sam's in here today, because we got a good show, and I'm very excited about it. So,
Are you going back to therapy tomorrow too? Is it every week or is it every 2 weeks?
He suggested every week, but then I'd have to. I don't have that kind of money. And,
Understandable.
Well, I mean, it's only the copay and whatnot, but yeah, I can't go through that conversation when my wife takes care of the money, and she is.
That's okay, man.
And I can't deal with, as she goes through the stuff every week, hitting those numbers. But she doesn't do it. She won't do it on purpose. She's amazing, but she just, when it comes to money, is a certain way, and so
more than every week.
Well, it's going to be like every. I got another one like in 3 weeks, and we'll figure it out from there.
Cool.
But I probably should have in the beginning started off and went every week, but that'll be like $25 a week, and then at some point that'll come up in conversation. Then I'll
wait, $25 a week?
Yeah.
Okay, as one of your best friends, I would gladly give that to you, because I'm sitting over here like, there's no amount of money you can put on my health. Okay, yeah. So if you're telling me that you need, dude, I got that, dude. Like, absolutely, I will give to the fish fund to make you.
I appreciate that. I don't know. I don't know that I'm at the. If I felt like I were in a different place where like I needed to talk to somebody every single.
The first thing you said is should, which we both know, but. You said I should have done it every single week. So that means something inside of you believes that would have been the move for a better you.
Well, yeah,
and I'm saying that I've been lucky and blessed enough to bear fruit, and I can give fruit, and that's what you're supposed to do. And so I feel like, like hearing that, I mean, I was thinking you were talking about like $140, $200. I'm like, man, when you said $25, I was like, wait, I can do that, dude.
Oh, that
you were so psyched about it last week too.
I am, and I'm still psyched.
To see just maybe for a month. I got it. I'll give you $100. I will give you $100 for a month, and you tell us each week how you're feeling, and that adds to the show. I like that.
All right.
So that's my contribution to the show.
I will call them after the show today. Cool. I'll take you up on that offer, because it is only a month. Because here's my thought. I think it's best when you're first getting into therapy or getting back into therapy to go every day for at least a month, for at least 4 weeks. If it's your first time, and you're still probably every week for like 6 to 8 weeks, and then you can figure it out from there. So I just it's probably best. The best case scenario would be for me to go now that I'm going back for the first time in a few years, to go every single week for a month, and then I think I can probably do like a once every month or once every 2 weeks from there. But not only that, but there's other things that I have in mind to try to get me through life.
Are you gonna cry on the air
today?
No, not today. But like, do you think that's a possibility? Have you ever done that? Like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I figured you would, but I just
Yeah, I've
Seth and Danielle. I want to see it. Here's $100 to watch. You just that's so messed up. Okay.
Seth and Danielle used to make fun of me all the time how often I would lose it on the air.
That's awesome.
But and it was funny because earlier on in my life I was not like that. It wasn't until end of my 30s, and I can't remember which year it was, but all of a sudden I broke. All of a sudden something snapped, because before that I didn't shed a tear, and I don't know. I can't pinpoint.
Must have felt so good.
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not. Probably hurt a little bit too. Yeah, but man,
hey,
that's the reason we got tear ducts, brother.
Speaking of Danielle, she says, "Hey,
what's up?"
She says, "Hey, Chris McCarty, but also you."
Word.
You remember Danielle? Do you remember that from those days when you were coming in? You remember Danielle?
Danielle's my girl, dog.
All right. Just want to make sure. Chris, how you doing? Michael, Brent, how you doing, buddy?
We have more viewers than normal right now.
Oh wow, yeah, we do.
Hello, everyone.
I'll tell you why.
It's normal. What are you guys talking about?
Because we started it off fun and with music. That's why, and people stuck around.
Yeah, I think you started with gratitude, my friend. You said thank you, and you're here. I'm happy you guys are here. I think anytime you have gratitude in the world, you're in a good spot. So I like this show.
So now you guys have to go back to Friday's show and watch how that began.
Oh my God, and how it ended. I have the picture.
Yeah, I think we need to do something with that picture. I don't know if it's even just put it up and have people. I don't know if it's I would say.
Yes.
Give it here. I
There.
Never seen that face before.
You got it.
Like, you've never seen that face before, and the fact that you got it is
Something with it.
amazing.
What?
It's amazing.
We gotta do like a contest,
That's
like a
what I'm thinking,
Photoshop
yeah.
contest.
Photoshop.
Oh, what happened?
Or a
Question
A
is,
caption
okay, so
contest.
tell us
At
what
minimum.
happened?
at minimum a caption contest with that. Well, by the way, can everybody hear? Is the audio coming through today? Because I'm getting
People
gray.
said they love the song, so I think the audio is coming through.
Okay, because I'm getting you see that gray there? That's making me nervous. That little thing right there. I don't know what the hell that is, but yeah, there was. I need to go back and watch a tutorial. This whole thing that we use here was updated on Friday. You know how you get those updates? You're like, sure, I'll click update, and then it came through, and you're just like, oh, one of those updates. So I got to go back and watch a tutorial. Okay. Give me that picture so I can show it to him real quick.
The picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull that back up so I can just show him real quickly before we move on. Then we'll get to On This Day and some of this. We got the latest, as far as we know,
Here you go.
on the YouTube shooter too.
There's the picture.
So here you go. Here's the.
I had to make it clearer. Yeah, there you go. Caption it.
I don't know if I can take it. I don't know if my ego could take the.
That's how it ended too. That was so funny.
Yeah, that's how the show ended on Friday. What had happened was, my TV's not. Hey, my TV's not on.
It's okay.
What had happened was, we started off the show, and like I told you, the stuff had updated all the so I thought we're on and fine, but the audio didn't work, and it was like 5 minutes, right, at least.
Yeah.
A long time.
That was a while, yeah.
And actually the funny part is that if you go and watch some of that stuff where you can't hear it, it is hilarious. I went back and watched it because you see me getting upset. Well, I don't know. It's either disturbing. It's either disturbing or hilarious. Because you see me, I just start, I'm getting visibly upset. You can see my mouth. You can just tell I'm dropping F-bombs. And then we finally make it on the show.
Wait, but you missed the part. So he's doing that, and then you don't hear anything. Then you see me just walk over and just give him a hug. You don't even know what's being said.
As I'm losing my mind, too, and he's trying to tell me to, hey, listen,
It was
man.
that significant that I had to give him a hug.
But John was
y'all.
behind you too, and he's like throwing his hands in the air. So there's like so many emotions.
And Chris is trying to get me to calm down by saying, listen, it's not about what's happening. It's about how you react to it. I'm like, I want to fucking react to it this way right now. And so he's typing up little things on his phone because he knows people can't, like little notes of, encouragement and, calm down.
Thank y'all for being cool.
Yeah, thank you for being cool. And holding him up to the camera.
Just telling people.
As I'm going. And then that shot that you just saw that it happened, our show ended because all of a sudden I look down and it looks like that we're off the stream, right? Like
we weren't off the screen.
Well,
We thought
weren't.
we were.
We thought we were.
And then it did end.
Right. And so then I'm sitting there clicking around and I want to make sure that, well, if it ended, that it saves and posts, that thing. So I go ahead and finish out the ending and come to find out we were on the entire time. And so it just ends with me going,
People want that to be the promotional pick for the show.
oh, shit. You know what? It might have to be.
That's a great
What if
idea.
we just drew a speech bubble and it was like stuff you should know coming out of your mouth? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because your mouth is open.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying.
There you go.
That is too funny.
Perfect.
From Chris Brown, he says, dude, I'm telling you, day by day, I'm leaning to react different, and man, it feels good. I feel you, Fish, about reacting in that manner. Oh, you mean we're having a positive influence? Is that what you're saying? Like, so you don't react like that? That pic is a Fisher classic. Should be the promo photo. That's Todd T. Thanks for coming by last week, man. It was good to see you. Good morning, Danielle. Good morning, everybody. The audio's good. Thank you, Deidre. All right, you guys ready for a little On This Day?
Yeah.
On this day.
On This Day. How are your T levels, Chris? Your T levels? I would imagine your T levels are fine.
Other than moderate.
Moderate. All right. On this day, headline: Dr. Martin Luther King is assassinated on this day in 1968. Just after 6 p.m. on April 4th, 1968, he's fatally shot while standing on the balcony outside his second-story room at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. The civil rights leader was in Memphis to support a sanitation workers' strike and was on his way to dinner when a bullet struck him in the jaw and severed his spinal cord. Wow. King was pronounced. That's some shot. I wonder if it was somebody that knew what they were doing. Who shot him? Do you? And I'm embarrassed that I don't know everything behind this, Chris.
I don't know, actually.
All right, good. I'm not as embarrassed anymore.
No.
It might say in there. Does
I'm
it not?
sure that it will.
Yeah.
So he was 39 years old. Wow.
I really don't think they found
James
out.
Earl Ray.
James Earl. Oh, why would I say that? Oh, I need to get out the. Oh.
All right. So in the months before his assassination became increasingly concerned with the problem of economic inequality in America, he organized a Poor People's Campaign to focus on the issue, including an interracial Poor People's March on Washington. And in March of 1968, traveled to Memphis to support a poorly treated African-American sanitation workers. On March 28th, a workers' protest march led by King ended in violence and the death of an African-American teenager. King left the city but vowed to return in early April. On April 3rd, back in Memphis, King gave his sermon saying, "We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop and he's allowed me to go to the mountain and I've looked over and I've seen the promised land and I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land." On the day after speaking those words, Dr. King was shot and killed by a sniper. As word of the assassination spread, riots broke out in cities all across the United States. On April 9th, he was laid to rest. On the evening of his murder, a Remington, is that a 30-06? Is that what they call it? I guess I've always heard the term 30-06, and I guess that's the way it's written. 30-06 hunting rifle was found on the sidewalk beside a room. It's interesting because the Remington, well, I don't know if it's interesting, but Remington just filed for bankruptcy a couple weeks ago. And so the escaped convict James Earl Ray, a 2-bit criminal. Ray escaped a Missouri prison while serving a sentence for a holdup. Do you know if, do you recall, Chris, if there was a conspiracy, if people said it wasn't really that 2-bit criminal, this was a government? Yeah, probably, I would imagine.
Well, the fact that I even forgot about it.
You don't know? It's all right. Hey, listen, man.
I don't know. It's so weird now that you think about it. Just always seems to be some. Could it be a cover up? Could it be a cover man? Could it be? We're saying it's this person, a fall guy. I don't know. I mean, that's who they say. But remember the JFK? Did you ever watch that? Did you ever see that movie? Yeah, and that's
the
got me all
HBO
messed
thing
up
back
too.
in the day?
Like now I'm hearing that it was a person who was actually in the car that did it. Was that you heard that too?
I have not heard that one. No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, like it was like. So I'm hearing that now, and then they were showing the replay. Maybe one day you should replay that and let everyone see it and like look for it. I mean, it's.
I don't know, maybe because
crazy. It was like this the actual Secret Service guy. Like just I don't know. So nowadays I don't know. You never really know who did what.
Right. Again, I think it goes back to what we were talking about the other day, is that it is hard for people to wrap their head around that somebody like JFK or Martin Luther King or, you know, those kinds of people can just be taken down by just a random crazy person. That it's got to be some grand conspiracy that takes them down. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just not saying there necessarily is. Sometimes shit just happens.
It's like John Lennon, right? Like he was killed by.
Was there a grand conspiracy of that?
I mean, they say it was just a crazy person, but you never know.
Oh, I'm sure there were conspiracies too back then. It was the government.
There's always a conspiracy.
All right. On this day in 1776, Washington begins his march to New York.
I saw one under President that was saying that Lincoln had a dream that he was going to be assassinated or something.
What?
President, scroll down a little more.
All right, I will. Here.
Lincoln dreams about a presidential assassination. Right where your mouse is.
I don't know. I hear so many stories about people just kind of knowing prior to, depending on the person, you know, like just having an idea. Like, yeah, dude. I don't know. Like Tupac always talking about he knew he was about to die. Like he just felt it.
I know, but if you're a gangster, then you can feel that around the corner every day.
But even Ernest, my bro, like when I found out, I was talking to his wife, she was like, yeah, like the last 2 months of his life, he used to every day put Amora to bed, and the last 2 months he stopped. It was like he was kind of pulling away, and then he talked to Jamar, his eldest son, and was telling him, like, if I were to somehow just on a bike, if something were to happen to me on a bike, just know I would be happy and I'd be great. This was a week before.
What?
Like, I'm just saying.
Okay,
like,
so
it's like one of those, like, you know, then, and like, how about the saddest part? This is what breaks my heart. Oh, God. He knew, he went, and she told me that he had an appointment for life insurance the Tuesday. He died on the Thursday. And he had an
Did he
appointment.
get the life insurance?
No, dude. That's I'm telling you, like, right. So I don't know, man. So when you say that about Lincoln, I'm like, man. Some people sometimes maybe they know. Some people know.
Chris says sweet mic placement. Chris. Sorry? Chris Brown says sweet mic placement
on that thing, you know.
I've got.
Come on, Chris.
We got to do it. We got to get a better mic situation set up over there because that's one of those microphones that it's best. No, you go ahead and leave it right there, but it's best on top.
Was it okay like that?
Yeah, we get it done. We get it done. I think everybody's here. Everybody just fine. All right. So let's get to this thing.
Got to be calling me out.
No, he wasn't teasing you. He was like an awesome mic placement there.
My guy.
Lincoln dreams about a presidential assassination. According to the recollection of one of his friends, Ward Hill Lamont, President Abraham Lincoln dreams on this night in 1865 of, quote, the subdued sobs of mourners and a corpse lying in a I don't know what that word is. Can you help me that one, Sam? Catafalque? In the White House East Room. I didn't know,
Yeah, catafalque. I don't know.
All right, that's all right. In the dream, Lincoln asked a soldier standing guard who was dead in the White House, to which he replied, the president. He was killed by an assassin. Okay, well, I've got goosebumps now. That's crazy. On April 11th, he told Lamont that the dream had strangely annoyed him ever since. 10 days after the dream, Lincoln was shot dead by an assassin while attending the theater. Holy shit.
I don't know. I don't like that.
You don't like, what do you mean you don't like that?
That just I don't know.
All right.
That's crazy.
Chris, tell me if these two things are connected. I had a dream not quite 3 weeks ago. And I woke up in the morning and I was so disturbed by it, I didn't even want to tell my wife because I knew it would just upset her for no reason whatsoever. And the dream was very vivid. And I was watching Roxy as she was going into the road. She was walking to the road.
Oh my God, stop. Do I have to do I have to plug my ears? Is something bad about to happen to Roxy? Please.
Plug your ears.
Oh no, Roxy.
And I had this feeling of helplessness because I knew she was too far away. She was going into the road and I could see she was about to get hit by a car. And she did. She got hit, but it hit her hard enough where in real life that would have been it. But she got up and she started walking again and she was hobbling forward. And so the feelings that were rushing through me were the feelings of helplessness, not being able to do anything to help her. Because I remember also thinking, I could yell Roxy, Roxy, in this tone, the barking tone, and she would stop. She would just drop, Mm-hmm. But I knew that wasn't good. That would probably even be worse. So I was hoping that other cars would see her limping away, and within a couple of seconds, she got hit again. And it was just the most gut-wrenching feeling of my entire,
I don't like that.
Okay. Fast forward 2 weeks later. My wife is heading out to the beach and there is a turtle crossing the road that she saw was already hit and the shell was already cracked on it. So she pulls over to help this turtle. She said he was struggling. He was fighting for life and he'd got 3/4 of the way across the road there. This is going into St. Pete Beach, the Bayside Bridge, Bayway, I think. And so she parks her car, gets out of her car, and starts towards the turtle. And when she said she just saw it and heard it crunch, a van just demolished this thing. Well, in my head, as she's describing that, I'm seeing the dream that I had a couple of weeks ago play out in my head. And my wife was very distraught too, cried, when she was telling me the story too the next day or later on that day, she was also in tears again because and it was funny because the way she described it was I was watching him fight for life, and he made it 3/4 of the way through, and I was right there to scoop him up, and she was going to try to take him to a sanctuary.
I'm glad she didn't get hit. That van seems like it didn't even care.
True.
If she was in the middle of the road, my God.
Well, you know how you want to put everything on that van and go, what the F was that person doing? Go back and judge them, but you know how
this is. Man, okay, so. This is so cool for me. I'm sitting here listening to this. My mouth was wide open because I would not have pegged Lauren for that. Like that sense of emotion over a turtle. Because we had conversations, she and I, about you helping homeless people with money.
Oh, she'll take a turtle over a homeless
And
person.
that's why I'm sitting here like, she's crying over a turtle. But like, F you, buddy. Like, wait a minute. And I know people,
but you know, a lot of
people do that. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are like, oh, the dog, but like, get out of here. Like, why do we do that?
I think it's because we look at people as they've made their choices, and we look at animals as being innocent, and they don't have a choice, especially pets in these situations that they end up in. You know, I think that's how they justify it.
But what?
I'm not saying the right, Chris.
You just said justified.
Right. And
what's the opposite of justified? Just. So you can either do something just or you can justify. And so would you just say that just would be giving the homeless person money? Is what you just said without saying it would be the just thing, which I agree with. Well, Sam, do you agree with that? Do you think that would be a just thing? Like, I should be able to look at someone and say, yeah, they've made their choices, but yet still I have a choice to make, and I'm just going to try to leave you better than I found you.
I mean,
would that be a just move or a justification?
Man, I don't even know the question anymore. I like, you had me, like, I get it, but you also lost me way in there. Did he just leave?
Yes, he just walked out of the room.
I mean, I feel bad, but he lost me there.
Well, I know what he was trying to get at there.
I get it, but I also don't understand the question he was asking me. So
if we're talking,
leave me be. I was more thinking about Roxy there still.
You got to remember, he's a creative brain. You know, he's an artist, so they connect some dots that you and I can't see. I was
stuck on the Roxy thing. That's honestly what happened.
Yeah. So, dude, it sounds good. Good morning, Ellie. I like to give homeless people turtles that have been run over. Plus 2 birds, 1 stone. Oh, 2 birds, 1 stone.
I was stuck on the Roxy thing still.
You were still in the dream?
I was still thinking about it. It scared me.
That hurt. And then it made me snort like that. Snort made me sound like my father. I've crossed over to the next phase of my life. That snort made me sound like my father.
And then just want to take care of all life. That's just kind of
all right. So I'm with you. So let's have this discussion, because there was just an article in the newspaper last week, and those who work with the homeless are not advocates, or most of them are not advocates of you just handing over money to them while they're on the street. And they say for a couple of reasons, because there are a lot of these people need some serious help, and all we're doing in that moment is fueling a fire, right? Enabling something in them.
I agree. I understand.
Now the way that I look at it is like, so what? In that moment, if he's going to use that couple of dollars and get himself some beers or whatever it's
his choice at that moment,
right? To kill the pain, then knock yourself out. But those that are working with them every single day and are trying to help them and get them back on their feet are saying, no, if you're going to give that money, then give it to one of these organizations that are trying to help them. Then let's make sure that we're not making so they don't go to the street corner every single day, and that they go to these places and get the help that hopefully they can, that will turn them around and get them back into.
And I agree, but the thing is like 90 or 100% of the times that there's a homeless person asking is because I'm seeing them. I don't really see this. I'm not driving out of my way to go to the organization to give them money for the homeless person. They just happen to be in front of me, and then I'm like, oh, and I get, so I understand what they're saying, but it's kind of like, I don't know. So maybe if they're saying if no one gives, then maybe it'll force them to the centers. I can understand that too.
I've had this discussion many times in the radio. It's gone back and forth, and I think what it comes down to, I really think this is one of those to each his own. To each his own. If you're somebody that when in that moment there's something in your heart that says I feel like giving $1 or $5, then give $1 or $5.
There you go.
And for those of you that don't feel bad in that moment, if you're giving, you say, hey, wait a second, I give X amount of dollars every single month to these charities or every single year to these charities, and don't feel bad, or don't let them feel bad that you're not giving an extra $1 or $2 at the
like here, check this out, man, and. I tend to not you don't want to share stories of like I did this, I did that, because once you do something good for someone, and naturally good for someone, you tell someone, then the good deed is broken. I am going to share this story just to show, I think, how sometimes it is actually really good to give. I was driving in Hawaii, and my phone died in their service, and I'm lost. And remember saying out loud, like, hey, send somebody to, send me on my way. And right then I turn this corner, there's a dude on a bike. And I stop him, and the dude, he's like, I can't really see that well. I'm like, all right, trying to go where I'm going. points in the direction. Cool. Is there anything I can do for you? He's like, you got a couple. Actually, he said, you have any weed? I said, no, sorry. Can you give me a couple bucks? So I reached in my bag and I see a $10 bill. And
why do you assume you had weed on you?
I don't know if he was assuming. It was just
I think he was just asking. Yeah.
You know, yeah. Look at you. I know you're going with that.
They never ask me if I have weed on me. They ask if I have painkillers.
I don't know, but everyone in Hawaii is way different. And so then I pulled it out, and it was a $20 bill. And of course, the brain goes, "Wait, you what? Nah, dude, that's what you know." And I give him a 20. He stops, and he's like, "Thank you, man, dude." Over $20 bill. That dude was like, he stopped. Like, he was walking and stopped. Like, that meant that much to him. So I say, man, sometimes, man, I just felt good. And no one knows that. No one saw that. It was just me and that dude.
I'm going to tell Lauren.
And I drove off being like, yeah, it was cool.
I'm going to tell my wife. I'm going to tell my wife, and she's going to start texting you and how stupid it was.
Stop feeding my husband the stupidity.
I did the same thing. I gave $20 to a homeless guy one day. He came riding by on his bike, and he caught me. And next thing, I just the entire ride over, because we were fueling up, and we were going from St. Pete to Tampa with some friends, and then the entire ride into Tampa was how much of a sucker I am, and $20. And listen, man, if you knew my wife, I know sometimes I can make her sound like whatever. But the fact is that she has an incredible credit score. That is something that's very important to her. The way that she manages her money, I could never do in a million years, and I have a lot of respect for that. Girl. I do. And she's also a giver. She is a giver, and she does donate her time and her money, and she will go 30 minutes and 30 miles out of her way to just save a seabird that's got a busted wing or a turtle that got hit in the side of the road.
Truth be told, if you and I managed our money the way she does, we would be in a way better situation than we are now. Like, you got to give her mad respect for that. Like, no doubt, dude. No doubt. Yeah.
One of the many reasons why I married her.
Right.
One of the many reasons.
Keep my shit together.
Elliot says he carries around a gift certificate to Century 21 for homeless people, so I know they are buying a home instead of a beer.
You're a dick. I'm just kidding.
Keep him coming, Elliot. Don't listen to him, Chris. You're a genius. Don't listen to him. On this day, a couple here. I want to see if are these influences of yours. On this day, born in 1913, Muddy Waters. You ever Muddy Waters influence you at all? And Maya Angelou, born on this day in 1928.
She's the person that I first heard the whole idea of the awe. Maya Angelou.
Really?
Yep, that's the influence from that. Maya Angelou, she's talked about it a couple of times. I think there's probably an interview with her and Oprah. Pretty good stuff, man. Like, when you get to an age later in life and you really are understanding about contribution and what do you want to leave behind, like, you get to someone's really good souls out there, and they have some good wisdom. And wisdom to me is just peace, So I feel like, just look into it. She's good.
All right, Sam, do you have a quote of the day for us?
What was the one from before? I have the real one. Was it do good or do your best?
The first one.
Do your best today.
Earlier, she's like, I've got one, but I think it sucks.
That was the quote.
I'm like, what
is it?
Do your
best today.
Do your best today. I'm like, was that Mr. Rogers? A quote from Mr. Rogers?
God, just do your best today.
It was probably just like unknown or anyone. Literally anyone. I have a real one now. Right. Okay, this is from Confucius.
Okay.
Oh.
When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps.
I really like that one a lot.
It's better than do your best today.
It is.
It's actually a more complicated version of do your best today.
You're right. It really is. All right. Good. Thank you so much, Sam.
You gonna stay over there? Or are you gonna switch over here, Chris? You should come over here.
Come on over, Chris.
Come on over.
Join me here.
Oh man.
And that's on this day. We're gonna get to stuff you should know here in just a couple minutes as well. Thank you.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry about that, everybody. Hope for those of you that are listening with earbuds on.
Yeah.
Oh, how are you doing?
Man, I'm all right.
All right. Did you have a gig last night?
No, I had the kids last night, and they didn't sleep very well.
They didn't sleep very well.
You know,
which meant you didn't sleep very well.
Yeah, Valentina, she was just up, so I was laying with her for a while, and then she woke up.
Do you try
again.
to do you sing her to sleep?
No, I just say nice little sweet things like it's okay to go to bed and you had a good day and we had fun today, and the sooner we go to sleep and the sooner we can play tomorrow, and Daddy's so proud of you, and I say sleep feels good, it feels good to sleep, just little stuff like that. And then
how long does that take before she finally listens?
Normally it only takes her like 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Okay, it's not too bad
but
at all.
This one she was just like, tell me something else, fat man. No, but she was just up. It was like, and then Johanny woke up a couple times because little boys and gonna pee pee and stuff. So
yeah, little boys have to pee pee.
Yeah, dude. So
did you get any sleep last night? Do you need to take a nap back there? Go ahead, just lay down. And if I say anything that sparks your interest, you just pop up.
No, you're good. No, it's all good, man. I'm excited about everything going on with life, man.
All right, cool.
Jeez, how are you?
Good. You doing any studio time today?
No, I'm gonna be performing tonight. So
all right, I got some studio time today.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'll be helping. There was somebody that shot a video, a doctor here locally that shot some videos to just explain to his patients, some procedures and what you can expect, going in and coming out and this and this and this,
right.
And I guess he froze up a little bit on camera. Didn't come off exactly the way he wanted it to. So we're going to try something different and have me sit down with him and do the interview style of that kind of thing.
Okay.
And see if I can make him feel comfortable so he can get his message out to his customers, his consumers.
Isn't it crazy, man? Some of the gifts that we have that we don't know are gifts, like being able to be comfortable and just kind of talk about what you're doing in life, but that offsets in some kind of genius that he has, which is why they probably do what's so special. And we all are like that. It's just
I couldn't be the doctor that he is, and I couldn't be the surgeon that somebody else is, because that takes a certain kind of focus and discipline that I just don't have. I was not. I was blessed with some things,
right?
And I was cursed with some things,
right? I tell people a lot that, man, my music is like that, blessing and a curse at the same time, man.
So good. Well, welcome to the Wake.Show. How does this feel, by the way, Chris? Because I've been thinking about us a lot.
I think this feels good, man. I think about us sometimes, and this makes sense. Just makes sense, man. We've been friends for over a decade, and it's a lot alike. We're both moderate in our political thinking.
Well, they don't have the button.
I'm not letting that go.
They don't have the tag for us, Chris. It should be, if it's what was it, super liberal or whatever, extra liberal,
right?
Liberal, moderate, conservative, then uber conservative.
I'm probably on both. Big spectrum.
There needs to be the tag out there, way out there.
Way
and
out,
and there you go. That's where you and I are.
Yeah, way out there, dude.
All right. So I want to hit one more kind of thing that I feel like is in the on this day in history category, because Chris, when Sam and I are doing this, and one of the reasons we do this because it really helps put things in perspective, the daily events into perspective, our lives into perspective. And one of the things that we hit on a lot is how, like, especially some of these things that come out of the 60s, that their history to us. I'm born in 1972. That's anything prior to that's history to me. And she's born in 1996. So everything's history to her. And so this is one of those things that puts the World War II and the Holocaust into perspective. A teacher who saved hundreds of young Jews during the Holocaust dies at 107 years old. Johann von Holst, a former Dutch senator and teacher renowned for his efforts to save hundreds of Jewish children during the Holocaust, died March 22nd at the age of 107. And it's just an opportunity for us to go, that's right. The Holocaust seems like a ancient history to me. World War II seems like a different, but there's still plenty of people alive. Now we're getting here at the end. They're peeling off left and right. Yeah. But still for the next, I don't know how, decade or two. Well, I don't know, decade or so. Yeah, I guess think about it. We're gonna have people that are still alive that lived through the bombing of Hiroshima. Yeah, man. The World War II, the Holocaust, lived through those times. That's not even getting into the Korean War, the later wars, Vietnam.
What kind of person is that? If you think about it, man, like what type of man to see all that? Oh, jeez. Oh.
Says, quote, try to imagine 80, 90, 100, perhaps 70 to 100 children stand there, and you have to decide which children to take with you. Oh, man. That was the most difficult day of my life, he remembered, of the period in 1943 when the Jewish daycare center was due to be cleared out. You realize that you cannot possibly take all the children with you. Oh, my gosh. So we're sitting there talking about how amazing it is that this man is, performs a Superman-like feat and rescues and saves 107 children, but he's tortured with it. Because from his vantage point, he couldn't save them all. Yeah. So he's sitting there and picking and choosing who's going to live and who's going to die. God. So we can sit there and go, oh my gosh, and give accolade after accolade to this man, but he's got to spend the rest of his life.
The rest of his life with the just...
Because, I bet you it's not easy just to sit there and go, well, you can have as much therapy as you want. The guy's going, hey, you saved 107 children. Not everybody does that. I know, but I left. I don't know how many he had to leave behind. But
it's just horrible, man. I mean,
life is complicated.
And you would think about that soul. Like, what's that soul's, purpose here between he and God? Like, just that. I mean, saving that many is great. I mean, you never really know.
Picture it. Picture in the situation.
That's why I'm sitting and like, man, I couldn't. And that's just, that's an amazing soul. That's 107 years. That's
107 years. Oof. He died at 107, and he had saved hundreds of young children himself.
He's happy. He is happy. He's like, thank you. I'm out. Bye. God, bye.
Well, a lesson to come out. Well, not a lesson, but a thought that just popped into my head that comes out of that too is. Because sometimes I can get caught up in, since I've gotten into radio and the media and this and that sometimes the visions of grandeur can get out there a little bit. And I can visualize myself, having a show that's so big and having a positive impact on the entire world and da-da-da-da-da. And not just a positive impact, but I'm going to change so many minds and this. And you realize you can't save everybody. You can't,
But you can do your job.
Right. Well, that's the thing is you can't allow. Well, I guess this is a little bit more me than anybody else. Not everybody has.
Everyone does this.
Well, only for I think those of us have this.
I do.
Well, those that have a streak of narcissism coursing through our veins a little bit.
Yeah, but the narcissism, but not in the negative side, because what you were saying was just helping people and making a difference and influencing. So that sounds great to me, and I think everyone, in some degrees, everyone who you've seen that's out there has a level of narcissism. They just were able to balance their ego, and that's just their own issue with their own path and their own growth. It has nothing to do with you. But I think, you're on it. I think that what's wrong with those thoughts? Tell me that.
Is there nothing wrong with those thoughts as long as you don't get hung up on them and they become obsessions, right? And you can't go on in life unless you are able to accomplish a feat that big.
Yeah, well, you're balancing. That's why I was talking about balancing your ego.
That balance?
Yeah, there you go.
You're right, because that narcissism is great when you step in and go, hey, I can affect change in a positive way. I know that I can do it.
Yes.
I can't do it without you, Chris.
I can't do it without you, bro.
And that's another thing I've learned along the way is that you can't do it alone. You can't do anything alone. No way. You can't do life alone.
No, man. I learned that from the breaking up of that band. Then I started doing everything myself for years, and something's gonna fall through the cracks. So thank God I met Deirdre when we met, and so now I have this great business partner who has a great business mind and who's like really passionate about like music and helping people and really making a difference in the world, just like me. So it's like, wow, let's do this. So now
And Chris, that's why I wanted to introduce you to Chords. The guy that I partnered with for the show and the guy that runs things here at Bake More Pies, the president of this company. I wanted you to meet him because I've only known him since last summer, but he really seems like one of those people that are trying to be a positive business, a positive influence in his community as well.
Yeah. And so that's why. But I feel like your delusions of grandeur may not really be delusions. There might be. You see, I have sight, dude. I see things all the time, and we were talking about this years ago. And is it any coincidence? Here we are. No. So when you say, "How does this feel?" I'm like, "Well, it feels normal.
Feels like
we're supposed to be doing this. It just does. We've been talking about this for years, so that's why I'm not even shocked." Why would I be?
Here's what I do with my visions of grandeur, because I can get hyper focused on that kind of stuff and then go spiraling into depression or whatever. Is when my head starts to go there and getting excited that I could whatever. I go, no, just be the positive change, or just be the positive force in your own world. My own little, my little Tampa Bay area, my friends, my family, the people that tune in here. Just do you, and don't worry about the rest of the world. Yeah, just worry about you. Be the change. And you and I've talked a lot about this. Cords,
we're just talking about it.
And you be the change. Talking about you being the change every day, and that's a lot easier said than done. That little phrase sounds good, but it is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, but it's because we all do struggle with that whole ego. We do struggle with all that. So it's just, that's just kind of like our, sorry, people are just walking in. So, yeah, we're like, hey, what's going on, guys? But that's what people struggle with, I feel, at the end of the day. And so, wanting to do more, and which is a good thing. So again, finding that balance, wanting to save the world, save your own community. If you save your own world, you're actually able to affect ultimately the outside world. Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense to just focus on self, and then everything else will come together.
All right. Well, we got the latest here. Chris Brown, before I get to the latest on the YouTube shooter, a couple of comments coming from Facebook here. That's how Schindler's List ended, with that same speech. He's all about the music. Chris Brown talking about he's all about the music. We spoke yesterday for a while, and man, it seems like he is all about the music in a positive way, and not just for the money. Love it. Is he talking about you, Chris, or is he talking about Chords?
I mean, definitely.
Did you meet this guy, Chris Brown?
I might.
You met Chris Brown?
I talked to him yesterday.
Okay, he's talking about Chords. We were talking about you right as you walked up. Did you know we were talking about you? Is that why you walked in here?
Not exactly. So I've got some friends here. They wanted to look at your show. They're thinking about being a sponsor.
Oh, they're thinking about being a sponsor. Well, hold on. Let me button this top button and look professional here.
Let me grab the guitar and start playing some songs. Show how far out we really go over here, man. This stretch.
The mic's down there. Go ahead and grab that. All right. There we go. Well, we were just, we're talking about being the change. We're talking about sometimes getting in your own head. Well, I can get in my own head, visions of grandeur, a guy that has a streak of narcissism running through him and want to save the world and this, and how I dial it back and just worry about being the change in my own environment, and it'll have the positive effect that you need to have. And so Chris was talking about that as well. And I go, that's one of the reasons why I wanted Chris to meet you. Chords. Because, when like I said, when I first met you, I didn't know how to take you at first. Chris, I didn't peg him for a bullshitter. I just had to put him in that category for a second because he was saying too many good things. He was saying too many things that I wanted to hear. So I was like, all right, I can't trust this.
I guess this guy's a con man.
But I've watched him walk the walk, since I first met him last August, and so that's why I wanted Chris to meet Chords, because I believe Chords is one of those kinds of people that, yes, he is a capitalist, but he's somebody that sees capitalism, the good side of capitalism, for good, and how you can positively affect your community and your environment using capitalism.
Yeah, we were actually meeting with, what was interesting was, we were meeting with this group who's doing this amazing co-working space over in Clearwater. They're one of our clients, and I was talking to the vision behind this whole working space. She said she was an activist and that she went and worked in like this organic farm for 2 years, and she, like as far left as you could possibly be. And she was, talking about how as an activist she didn't feel like she was being very effective because she wasn't really making a change. She was, doing a lot of
spinning
marching
her wheels.
And exactly. She was living, walking the walk of like what she wanted to see of people being like taking care of each other and things like that, but she wasn't scaling it, right? Mm-hmm. And so her life kind of took a turn, and she was, she met this amazing guy who was this fantastic capitalist. He owns this big building in downtown Clearwater. Whatever happened next, but they ended up getting married. And she was like, I realize that with my new resources now, what I can do is I can actually create that thing.
That environment, yeah.
I can actually create the environment instead of like complaining that it should exist,
That's exactly where Chris and I were. I don't remember when he and I were having this conversation last year, the year before that. But he was saying the same. He's like, man, Chris was getting in that one of those modes. Man, we got to do this, and we got to get a hold of politicians, and we got to make them see this and this and da 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 da. And when he got done, because I was on board, then all of a sudden it just hit me. No, we got it. It has to start with us. Those things that we want to see.
Do
you just
what
have to
you
do
can.
it. Yeah,
right. And so that was awesome when I had my first interview here. Of course, I didn't know you, but the questions that he was asking, I'm saying, and you're like lined up with just how you, and then you're like, yeah. Then it was like, yeah, nice to meet you, yeah, you know. And so now, yeah, I mean, look at my business; it's just starting to go ever since meeting you too. So, and this is starting to go. I mean, they were talking about yesterday that more people that have been watching ever,
right?
Yeah, so everything is just.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good people. It's either good people or crowded people.
Shameless plug, but we actually have some people in the studio today that you won't see on the camera, but they're trying to like understand whether or not, what they're going to be doing about their advertising. And social media is a question they asked me, and there's been a ton, and we've even talked about on the show, a ton of changes in social media, and Zuckerberg's always in the news now, and the syndication of content for corporations has drastically changed. Not only in the amount of syndication they're actually giving, but also in the way they're counting it. So they actually weren't being completely honest before, but now they're being more honest about it. And so people are getting a little bit more of like an actual absolute understanding of what kind of an impact their social media channels are having, right? And so one of the things we talked about is like our strategies are changing, right? This show reaches hundreds and hundreds of people view this show. You can scroll down and look at the views of this show every single day. It's hundreds of people. And thousands of people are actually seeing it come across the screen. So like if a logo is on the bottom right hand corner or whatever of the screen, and Chris mentioned it a few times, it's going to reach a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. I mean, just like, I think before our involvement, I was like right under.
Get on that mic a little bit better.
Yeah, before my involvement with Bake More Pies, I was under like I think 9,000 likes on Facebook. Now I'm at like 9,000, like 300 and something. Because like I'm being seen on something that's very it's professional and it's legit and you are legit, and so more and more people on my channel are seeing it, and then my likes are going up like just double, bro.
Yeah, like yesterday you were doing that little video down in the main studio, and you're
that's got 1,000 views in one day on my side.
That's incredible.
Just, at that place,
and you had 10 to 15 people watching that at all times yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, I'm a big advocate of that. Like, good people with the good intention. What is your intention? We talked about that. Your intention. What are your intentions? So, that makes sense. It always works.
Well, what's cool is that when you contrast that, 1,000 people have seen you play the guitar yesterday, right? It's only 24 hours later. Literally almost 24 hours later. Not even 24, because you did it in the afternoon. You compare that to like posting a motivational Monday, or like 10 people will look at that thing. It's ridiculous. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing here and having the impact we're having.
All
right. Well, it's
thank
good.
you again, brother.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks.
All right. On with Bake More. On with the Wake.Show today, and the latest coming out of San Bruno, California, and the YouTube shooter. A woman suspected of shooting 3 people at YouTube headquarters before killing herself was furious with the company because it had stopped paying for her videos she posted on the platform. 2 law enforcement officials identified the suspect as Nassim Agdam of South California. The official spokesperson on the official spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized. YouTube, quote, had stopped everything, and she was very angry, her father, Ishmael, had said from his San Diego home. People who post on YouTube can receive money from advertisements that accompany their videos, but the company demonetizes some channels for reasons including inappropriate material or having fewer than 1,000 subscribers. Well, she had reported, he said he reported his daughter missing on Monday after she did not answer her phone for 2 days. He said he warned them she might be headed to YouTube because she hated the company. Let's see, he said the family received a phone call from the police Tuesday saying they found her sleeping in a car. Mountain View Police spokesperson Katie Nelson confirmed officers located a woman by the same name asleep in the vehicle. Terrified employees huddled inside. So this is just some of those details there. She said the woman wore glasses and a scarf, was using a big, huge pistol. All right, so this will get brought up in the gun debate that, this person, because we're saying get rid of all of assault rifles. You can have your pistol, you can have your shotgun, you can have your one hunting rifle or whatever it is that they're trying to do. And I was like, well, look at this. This was a person that did this, with just a handgun, a big pistol. But we're going to have to get back to the mental health of people here in America and in the world. If you guys if we really want to tackle this, if we're really serious about, understanding these mass shoot, I don't think. But see, Chris, I fear that people don't want to understand. People just want to put it in a category of evil. Say we don't understand this. This is an anomaly, and just try to eradicate it by slaughtering it. And I don't think that's going to work. I think we have to understand. And we go, how can you understand crazy? No, you got to understand what it means to be human. All right.
Compassion.
And that these things aren't anomalies. All right. It isn't just one person out of every few years does something.
So and I was reading, I don't know if you read a book called Conversations with God. There was this really cool book, and in the book they were talking about how we in our relationships, we keep experiencing the same experience again and again and again until you change the action that you are taking to change that outcome. And that's just like you said, in a huge sense, we as the human race, we are experiencing this thing again and again because what we're doing isn't working. And you're 100% correct that we're going to have to go with some compassion and some apathy and empathy, and we're going to have to try to really come the human route and try to, like you said, I mean, what relationship, just a one-on-one relationship doesn't work without understanding what you're dealing with. If you understand it, then you can maneuver the correct way. If you don't understand
we can take this is going to be multi-pronged in the end. It's not just about banning all the weapons that's going to make this go away. It's not just about throwing everybody that's a little off into an institution that's going to make this go away. It is what was
understanding human beings, why we do the way,
because I feel like people feel like they already know enough. I feel like especially if you're on the religious side of things, well, you already know enough because you got everything that was written out for you. From the scientific side of things, you feel like you've already know enough.
Yeah, the arrogance keeps in. You don't want to learn anything else or hear anything else because you know.
And I feel like we don't know. What we know is we know nothing.
We don't know a damn thing.
All I know is I know nothing.
Right. That's the best place to start, brother.
But man, you got to be careful. You can't hang out there too long.
No. I know a lot, but I don't know anything.
Really, all I know is I know nothing. I'm still in that place. All right. So that's the latest on the shooter. A couple of things I want to talk about too. So I brought up your Conversations with God there because that sounded familiar, but I didn't. I have never read it.
Neil Donald Walsh. You should read that.
Really?
What? That, all right.
What am I going to learn, Chris?
Okay, so ready? I'll tell you a story about. I had lots of stories, and that was pretty cool. So I'm 23 years old, and when we were heavy on the road, I was always, I was at a backpack full of books, and because you're on the road and you just got a lot of time to read. And so this is the time when I'd be walking around and reading and stuff, and so Greg, the guitar player at the time, we were going to play in Destin, Florida. So at my condo in Gainesville, we're moving out of the condo, there were just a bunch of books. And we were trying to, move the books, and I ran into Catch Me If You Can. So I took that book to the side, and then I ran into Conversations with God, Volume 2. Took it, something told me to grab it. Sounds right, Grab it, get in the car. Destin's like 4.5 hours away. I'm sleeping, and I wake up the last 30 minutes. Open up Conversations with God, and I'm reading the first 16 pages. Loving it, right? Told him, man, I wish I had the first copy, whatever. We get to our destination, and it's all of us kicking it. Everyone's hanging out, whatever. So I leave. So I'm going to the elevator, and I pull out Conversations with God, Volume 2, and I start moving to the pages 16. So I'm reading it, and I don't really know where I am. I'm like, wait, what wrong page? What page? Where am I? And then I close the book, and it says Conversations with God, Volume 1. Now, I never had Volume 1. I only had Volume 2. So, of course, I'm freaking out, and I call my mom, and she tells me, God can do anything. So, people can say what you want. I don't care. This is just what happened to me in my life. And so I ended up reading Volume 1, and it was one of the greatest books I've ever read. I still read it. I'm still reading it to this day. I'm reading it now. Very grounding, very liberating, very freeing. It's cool. It's not threatening. It's just kind of like, I don't know. After I read it, I just kind of felt like life was a lot easier than I had been thinking it to be. And so then I read the second one, and so I hey man, you look for something, you can find it. The world is magical. I know this for a fact.
All right. I agree with you. I agree with you on the magic part of things. Conversation.
You should read it. It'd be great.
I guess
we'd have a lot to talk about on the show, bro. On some cool stuff. Man.
I will try to
do or do not. There is no try. Nerd alert.
Then we will see. We'll see if I do or do not coming up. Conversations with God is. It was written as a dialogue in which Walsh asked questions and God answers. The first book of the Conversation with God series. 1995. An interview with Larry King, he described the inception of the book as follows. At a low period in his life, Walsh wrote an angry letter to God asking questions about why his life wasn't working. After writing down all his questions, he heard a voice over his right shoulder say, "Do you really want an answer to all these questions, or are you just venting?" Little did he know it was me. It was me.
Stupid dog.
Though when he turned around, he saw no one there. Walsh felt answers to his questions filling his mind and decided to write them down. The ensuing dialogue became the Conversations with God books. When asked in a recent interview, how does he open up to God these days, he said, "I'm reaching out to touch others with this information. When I reach out and touch others with this information, I reconnect immediately with the divine presence." All right, does sound like something I want to read. Thank you. I know that book's been swirling out there for a little bit, and multiple people have brought it up to me. Usually they'll bring that one up, and then Many Lives, Many Masters is another one they'll bring up to me.
Someone brought. These are two books that I've read, both of them, and I'm looking at you like, why have you not read these books? How are we going to do a show together and us not know the same things? You got to read that book. So come on, dude.
I don't know, because I have my own conversations with God. I just haven't written them down yet. One night I'm asking. When I do my meditating and I commune with whatever it is I think I believe in. What I do is I breathe and I try to get as silent and as quiet as possible. I guess that zero, get to nothing, Zen. But along the way, you hear, there's experiences along the way. And so I never asked for anything. I didn't want to affect anything. So I never asked for anything. I never asked any questions until finally, like 4 or 5 years into this, which was just about a year ago or a little over a year ago, I wanted just to ask the one question, why? And I was setting up, I was going to do this very serious meditation on the weekend and da-da-da-da-da. And you get to that finally just get to that point and ask the question that, trillions of other sentient creatures have asked over the eons. Why? There doesn't need to be anything. Why? And so I did. I got to my quiet space, Chris. This is so great because I heard it. I heard a voice like booming. And I finally get to my space. It's quiet. I'm there. And so I just go, why? And this big booming voice came out of nowhere. I don't know. And I just started laughing, and it made perfect sense that even the oldest things in the universe, well, I don't even know what I was connecting with, the oldest things really, in the end, don't know why either. It just is. And the greatest answer to that question,
awesome.
The greatest answer to that question, by the way, is, and I know this is an old story coming out of some college, but I guess that was a question that was put on a board. It's according to the myth, I don't know if this is true or not. But I guess semester after semester after semester passed, and this question would be, I don't know if it was a philosopher's board or a physicist or whatever it was, and probably not a physicist. And the question was just why. And every semester in and out, kids would come in and out, and they'd all have their answers by the end of the semester, and nobody ever got it right. Until one day, allegedly, some kid walks in, sees that question up on the board, why, walks up to the board, and right under it writes, "Why not?" And that was the answer, because why not is as equal a question to to what I'm searching, or sometimes that I get caught up in searching for, as why. Well, why not? Well, great question. Great question. You just keep going back and forth on that for eternity, I think. I see you grabbed your guitar, man.
I just felt like it'd be a good time to bring some music in real quick.
Okay.
Man. I don't know. I just kind of felt like it'd be good.
Well, how about this? Let me. All right, 2 things I want you guys to know about. First of all, here in the state of Florida, You don't need a license to fish this weekend. I know this is going to make Cords happy. Are you grow up fishing at all here in Florida, Chris?
I have fished, but I didn't grow up fishing.
Yeah, my brother did. You know, growing up in Ocoee, he got in with the fishing crowd, and he loved fishing. I enjoy it when I do it. I just never do it.
Yeah.
So fish without a license this weekend in Florida, and I wanted to pass that along. And then Ferg's Sports Bar. Ferg's is in St. Pete. It is a staple for those of you that are not here in the Bay Area. If you ever go to a game at the Trop, to see the Rays, play, then this is the sports bar right there that you have to start your adventure at. And I see that Ferg's is just growing. And for those that know Ferg's, man, it is a cool place. It is patchwork. It started off as I want to say it was a gas station originally back in the 80s. And when Ferg first bought it, he had this vision, Chris. He had this vision of grandeur. And he saw it. He knew that one day there'd be a baseball team there and he would make a lot of money. And it took a little bit. And finally, the baseball team did show up. And he's added to it and added to it and added to it. It's a really cool place. So now they're expanding even more to suit our dogs. So I'm not going to let this story go by. Unveiling a dog park and a dog menu. The sprawling two-story bar that added a spot for live concerts in 2015 opened a mini bowling alley last year. And by the way, it's one of that I think they call it 10-pin bowling or something like that, where there's strings attached to it. So after you bowl, it all re-racks itself in some weird mechanical way. It's pretty cool. I think it's the same thing that Ducky's has there on Kennedy. So now they're inviting doggy parents to bring their pets for a grand opening of Ferg's Dog Park and Grill on Saturday, 1 p.m. The event features a raffle, door prizes, a dog parade, and a free keg of beer to sip on while it lasts during the Rays versus Red Sox game. They'll also be giving away free food samples from their new dog menu, which includes sweet potato chips, which is dehydrated sweet potato slices, which little Roxy McPoopenstein can have because, she's got a very limited diet, but she's allowed to have sweet potatoes. Hush Puppy cookies made from brewing grains from local breweries plus peanut butter, and Chef John's fresh dog meals, which is chicken or beef and whole grain rice. They request that the dogs bring canned goods to donate to the Kind Mouse. So there you go. There's the...
Don't get off that page. Don't
all
get
right,
off that.
all right.
Well, I want to... This is a really cool moment. All right. Are you done with this?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So no. Like scroll back out. All right. So this is what you do for growing. This is what I do for growing. So it's an awesome example for growth.
All right.
Once you accept that you're a human being and you are flawed and you make mistakes and whatnot, and like you're able to like say, "Hey, I made a mistake and I see some growth." So pull all the way back out.
All right. Back out.
Okay. So to everyone who's just gonna catch you up, I think last month. Wait. Let me go there.
Yeah.
Let me go there. So last month. I got pulled over, and this cop who gave me the business, I guess like a year before, like really violated, frisked the whole 9 yards. I see him again. So it hit like some triggers in me. And so last month I was on the show, and there was these pictures of these inmates, as you see up here. But last time they were like predominantly black people, and I took offense to it. Now, Chris was saying, maybe it just kind of looks like an ad, and I'm like, I felt like maybe it was part of, the fear, and that's why I was thinking this cop would do what he did to me because there was like weird fear of, black dude, blah blah blah.
And you felt like it was perpetuating.
And I felt like it was like perpetuating these issues. And Chris said, maybe you might just be sensitive of what just happened. And so here we are, which is great because now you see predominantly white people.
Yep.
And so then I see that and like, you have a chance. I could either be quiet and my ego be like, wait a minute. Or no, you call yourself out. You say, hey, and you allow yourself to grow like, man, you know what? Like, you don't allow the outside world to change who you are. Because you know me that I never would have seen that, but the outside world got to me and now I'm affected by it. And so here I am as equilibrium's gone down and I'm chilling. And I look at that and I'm like, oh man, what a great lesson. For me at least, so I wanted to share that. I think that's
thanks,
great.
man. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
That was a very interesting show that day.
Yeah,
because you and I definitely did not connect. We were seeing things a little bit different.
I was so from everything, and now looking at how cool I am, and went into Hawaii, and I can see like, oh man, okay, so yeah, I think yeah, and so yeah, that was good. That was there are no accidents, man. Yeah.
All right. It's all chaos, my man, all
I want to
chaos.
thank Fergs for making that happen, because
Yeah.
that's why we talked about that. It's
And
not
if I-
about Fergs. It was about that moment.
And if I were a good producer of the show, I'd give him a call and have him on the show and talk about it before the weekend.
All right.
All right. And, the only other thing that I wanted to hit today was this galaxy hunting technology is being used to stop poachers hunting endangered animals. So the same technology that we're using to look millions of years into the past as we stare out into the galaxy, we're now turning it on ourselves. Instead of hunting galaxies, we're hunting hunters. Dun, dun, dun. And going after the poachers who are trying to take out endangered species like the rhino and elephants and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, that's all I wanted to share as far as that goes today. And that is good for me, man, as far as stuff you should know.
All right.
Elliot says, how many fights are going to start when a guy jokingly hands his date the dog menu? And Chris Brown says, our company motto is learning from our mistakes. I like that. I like that humility.
It's the best way to walk, man. Transparency. You can look at anybody in the face and be like, what up?
Thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show today, Monday through Friday, 11-ish till whenever. And Chris will be back tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, let me sing this song before you log off.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You see, yeah, we gotta make everybody happy. This is perfect. In my world, the star was there sitting at 3 o'clock, 2 inches from the moon. And the bottom of the moon was the only thing that was lit in. I mean, only thing to light this world. And it's true, we make a difference, this I know. Yet so insignificant, so many mysteries untold. Time is of the essence, like catching the first winter snow. We gotta wake up everybody, because it's time for you to know that the world is simply amazing. World is simply alive. We're all simply living it. Eventually we'll die, so just live. Dance to the music. Live. Forget those inhibitions. Just live. Dance to the music. Live. That clock is ticking, you better live. In my world, my life is what I make it. It's a roller coaster, I know. Another fork in the road. I take the path less taken. It's the only one I know. 'Cause believing is achieving, this I know. When you hear that voice inside of you, the mystery unfolds. Time gives us beauty, you know, when those flowers grow. But the grass isn't always greener, you've got to wait for it to grow. 'Cause the world is simply amazing, world is simply alive. We're all simply living it, eventually we'll die. So just live, dance to the music, live. Forget those inhibitions, just live. Dance to the music, live. 'Cause it's true, we make a difference, this I know. Yet so insignificant, so many mysteries untold. Time gives us beauty, you know, when your babies grow. But the grass isn't always greener, you've got to wait for it to grow. Just live, dance to the music, live. Forget those inhibitions, just live. Dance to the music, live. That clock it's ticking, you better live. Ba-da-bum, ba-da-da-da-ba-da, ba-bum, ba-ba-da-ba-down, ba-da-bum, ba-da-da-ba-down. I know. Thank you for watching the Wake.Show. That's my song called Just Live. Just live.
Well done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That's the way the show's got to go, man. No, that's too much on you. I was going to say that's the way the show's got to go, where we start off and end with a song. But
I like it.
I like it too, but I don't ever want to, make you feel like you have to. I want you to do it when you're feeling it, like you did today.
Oh, I think I should. This is what I do. You are what you do. I play, dude. I like doing that. That's fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show today. Chris, thank you so much for coming by.
Tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
3 days in a row.
All right. And then see you on Friday as well. Tonight, you guys looking to do some karaoke, join me in downtown St. Pete at Park and Rec. They got a whole block there. Very cool. Great food. And just a cool place to party and hang out, whether it's on the weekend. From my understanding, is insane. So that's for those of you that are a little bit younger. On the weekends, it's all yours. Tonight, we got a nice, solid crowd out there. Don't get me wrong, but it's not one of these things. And I hear that when they put on some of their events or Saturday night, it can get pretty tight in there. So Wednesday nights, 8 to midnight, you can join me out at Park and Rec downtown St. Pete. What about you, sir? You taking the night off?
No, I'll be playing at Krabby Bill's in Indian Rocks Beach, 6 o'clock. Right. More of that happy stuff.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Remember, be the change and let your crazy breathe. Have a great day.
Nutty.